Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's November 22nd. This will be our chart lesson for today. And due to the Thanksgiving holiday, this is going to wrap up our week. I'm going to take off tomorrow, so I won't be available again until next Monday. There'll be no trading on Thursday or Friday. Actually, I think the markets are open a half day those days, but it's not worth trying to trade that. In fact, you could get stuck in a trade and then come time to close out, and even though you may not get stopped out, you may not get your profit target, and then they kick you out, and who knows where you're at when you get kicked out, and you may end up with a small loss or whatever. So I really highly recommend that you do not try to trade those half days on holidays. It's just not worth the effort. So, but anyway, I'm going to take all day off Wednesday, and I'll take Thursday and Friday, and we'll be back the following Monday. So, um, I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving break and enjoys the time away. And we'll come back and try to get rolling again on Monday. But we'll start out taking a look at the daily chart. You can see we're still working sideways, but we did have a nice rally today. We had a little spiking channel on the daily chart, and you can see it mirrors this. It shows based on the daily chart here. This is um, a very bullish type day. Um, we still got some room to go here, so my guess is this is still our target we're headed towards. We'll see. Uh, we're not really outside of this sideways stuff completely yet, but this is a fairly strong bar here. So to me, it looks like we're probably going to try to push higher. Prices will at least attempt it. Maybe they won't succeed, but they'll at least attempt it. It looks like so. But yeah, again, once you look at the 2000 tick chart, you'll see that it's a spiking channel type day, and we closed near our highs on that day. We never got outside the channel either. The trend line held all day. So not a lot of trades today. The volume has slowed down a little bit, but it was there's some pretty good setups, and it's a strong trend. So I mean, the good thing about trend days is if you stick with the trend and you buy near the key entry point, uh, generally you can even be not make a perfect entry and still survive. It's when you try to counter trend trade that you really screw up, and that's what most people do is they're trying to pick tops and bottoms, and they can't figure out why they can't have success. But anyway, let's flip over to that chart, take a look, and we'll go from there. Okay, here's a look at our 2000 tick chart. You can see that we had this. We spiked up here, went into this channel, and it held all day, and we really kind of rolled over. Uh, the the steeper channel held and never really gave way, but it looks like we had a flatter channel that kind of came in here later, and you can see our prices were fighting between the midline and the upper line of this one, and you can see where the midline across here affected it as well for the cyan one, and you can clearly see the trend line here pretty much held. So I think both of them were in play. And I think this first one was maybe a little steep, and so we kind of folded over. And really, again, the original light blue one never really it stayed. And you can see prices were strong because we never could even get back to the trend line. But I think this upper trend line, channel line, is the reason we couldn't get up here to the upper highs because it had kind of taken over by that point. So I mean, you didn't have to see this one, I don't believe, to get where we needed to be. Come on here. But you can see it without it. And then there it is with it. So you end up at the same place either way. Um, but I think this one would have explained more why we were kind of stuck in this little area here up here and some of these other things. So, and you can clearly see this midline playing both sides across here. So not a lot of trades today, but there's a few decent trades here. So decent trading day actually. So just not a lot of trades, but the ones that are there are fairly straightforward. Um, but we'll zoom in here and we'll go through the trades and we'll wrap this day and week up. But let's zoom in here and get through the trades. We clearly had a couple of measured legs up here at this point, and on this second leg, you got the leg coming up. You get a close outside, move to a new high, and 7 o'clock was coming just as we're making this high here and the break, and then we jumped up, and we just kind of went sideways and had the failed breakout, a lower high, and then a failed second entry short. I wasn't so, you possibly could have gone short here on the failure as well, but at that point, I felt like I would wait and see if you got a second entry or a lower high or something, and you get a second entry short here with a big bearish bar, and that was a really good trade. If you caught that one trade, which is really straightforward, a second entry, looking for a new low with plenty of room here, you're good to go. I mean, that might be all you needed today. And of course, we bounced down here. We dropped down here and bounced way away from the EMA. And I draw my trend line there, and then we kind of confirmed it here, and then we broke lower and turned up here. I don't know that I would wait and go long up above this bar here, but you might trade this trap and failure on an engulfing bar with if there's a no, working it, trying to trade it back to the EMA basically. So I like entering it that way. I don't know if I would enter it here, one tick above that. There's a lot of stem there. It's still, maybe it closes in its upper 1/3, but you can see prices were still kind of undecided at that point. So the trap's probably going to give you what you need to get a scalp, but I wouldn't risk any going long above this bar, is basically what I'm saying there. And you can see prices were kind of, people were not real sure what we were doing here, and they kind of bounce sideways before they go higher. And I don't see any other entries there until, once again, you get up here and you get another spike up, and just draw your trend line there. And somebody will ask me, well, what about this trend? Yeah, it's valid too. There's a shorter term trend channel right there, and you get the break, but you get this trap here, and it's a second entry long. Notice the new high, first entry, and then it turns down and fails and turns up. I like going long on the engulfing bar, and I probably wouldn't be afraid to go long right here. Although let's see how big that bar is. 17 ticks. It's it's getting on up there, but at this point, I would say we're probably going higher. And you're coming right off the key entry point, and so you've got the whole rest of the channel there to profit if we're headed to the upper side, which most likely that's where you would expect prices to go. And so that's another nice trade there. Comes back, get a break, move to a new high. There's no setup here really. That's too congested. No second entry or anything. Then it turns down. You do make a new high here. Notice you get the close outside new high. Then you're trending down. You get the close outside new low. And that's when it looks like maybe we're bouncing early here, so that it means there's probably some kind of trend line or something across there. So draw it and just see what happens. And you can see we get a little higher low here. I like going long above that. I don't think I would play that congestion there with the engulfing bar. I'd wait for this to close just to make sure and see if you get a break above it. If you do, we're probably headed higher, especially the fact that we hadn't reached the highs yet, and it looks like they've trapped people at the lows if they turn it up here. And you can see how it shoots up real fast. That shows you that people are probably trapped to the short side and have to exit real quick. And then of course more longs jump in as well, realizing we're going higher. And then we make a high, we kind of make a double top, and then we test it again. Plenty of room back to the EMA. That's a triple test. It's obviously there's strong resistance there. I like going short there. It comes back here and makes a lower high, and you might even argue that's a failure. It's just not much room in the EMA. It closed above the midline right there. There's just some reasons I'm not crazy about that one. If you took it, it worked, but I just wasn't, it looks more like we're kind of getting sideways here again. So I was real leery of that one. There is plenty of room to the lows here to scalp out. So, I mean, yeah, maybe you argue it's green. just in case anybody's really I get these emails. People say, well, you didn't mention this trade. If I didn't mention it, there was something about it I didn't like. And, usually I'll at least mention if it's green. Sometimes they're close like that, and maybe I don't mention it. And so, but usually if I don't mention a trade, it's because I didn't like it. There's something wrong with it. But we come back and we bounce off this trend line a few more times. You can clearly see that trend line in play across there. And we end up just going sideways. But we do get a triple test here with a big, nice signal bar off the original key entry point. That's, if you move this out of the way, you can clearly see that's off that original key entry point again. And look how bullish that bar is. I like going long above that. You might let it break higher and drop a limit order in here, just enough room to make sure you can get out before those highs, because it is a trading range. And it's real close. I think there's exactly 6 ticks there maybe. So maybe you let it break higher and you drop a limit order. And if you did it that way, you see you could have got filled on back down here. So it would have worked out if you tried that. Sometimes you'll miss those trades, but sometimes you're better off to miss it than to be too aggressive with them. So just keep that in mind. And of course this runs on up, and then we're working sideways again. Again, I think you try to go lower 3 times there, and that's the first break of that channel. So there's a good odds we'll try to retest the high of that even if we don't continue to go higher than that. So I like that one, just to ride it back to the highs. And it comes back here again, but this is an inside bar, nothing there. I don't think you want to be going short now. It's pretty obvious that we're in a long-term uptrend. Breaks higher here. And even though this makes a new high, there's still 2 legs back. And there's also a triple test. It's right at the key entry point. It's a nice signal bar. I like going long if it breaks higher there. And that takes us into 230. So as you see, there's just not a lot of trades. The volume's really already slowing down for the holiday. Probably be even slower tomorrow. I say that, and we'll probably get a huge volume day now that I won't be here, and I say that. But my guess is the volume will slow down even further tomorrow. So we'll have to see. But anyway, I'm not going to drag this one out today. It's short and sweet. Just kind of day it was. And so I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to start my holiday, and hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back again Monday. I'll be off the rest of the day. Or I'm sorry, the rest of the week. Obviously, I'll be off the rest of the day, but I'll be off the rest of the week as well. So anyway, I will see you Monday, and that's it for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.